listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So a couple of podcasts ago, or it could have been last week, I'm not sure, time. I introduced this idea that you're meant to get rid of your underwear every 6 months. Do you remember this conversation?
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, okay, so
I hated that.
It haunts me now when I'm going through my underwear drawer and I've turfed. I actually went and I ordered 6 new pairs of underwear this morning just based on that. I keep thinking about it. Yeah. But I went and got my hair colored the other day, and the hairdresser said, you wash your hair too much. And I said,
I agree.
With me? You can tell on my hair?
No, based on what you told us that one time on the podcast that you washed it and dried it every day.
I know. And now I've tried to go. So this is day 3, and this is not working. This is terrible.
I thought it looked nice.
Do you have a dry shampoo?
No.
That's what's going to get you through. That's what's going to allow you to transition to less shampooing.
But I feel like it's very, very flat and looks just kind of limp. And I'm thinking, she said her suggestion was that I should only be washing it twice a week.
Yeah, that's
doable.
Yeah.
That's really.
But that's what Cynara is saying about the dry shampoo will give you the volume back that you are missing.
You need it for the roots, right? Because your ends are not going to be limp. It's it's the crown that gets weighed down. So, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
The headphones.
Shakespeare's dry shampoo.
Yeah, you know how Shakespeare loved dry shampoo and wrote about it famously in his comedies and tragedies. Bar on the Beach, sponsored by Batiste. But no, honestly, I think a good dry shampoo, I like Batiste. It's the oldest one on the market. So when your grandma probably used, if she used dry shampoo, works great.
And it's just a spray, right? On the
just
roots?
A spray. I mean, it's a spray. You give it a good shake, you spray it on, and then you want to let it sit for a bit and then kind of rub it in. Sometimes people don't rub it in and then you get a bit of a skunk streak.
Yes. Yeah.
So so you just want to make sure to rub it in. But I too was there's no way I'm not going to wash my hair every day.
Yeah.
But now, I can go as long as a couple weeks if I want to.
Couple of weeks?
Yeah,
you have
good.
Because of the dry shampoo?
Yeah.
Oh.
You have to train your hair up to it, though. You just, for a few weeks, you do it, every 2 days. And then you just keep stretching it out. And soon...
You'll go through a stage where you feel a bit like a slug. I think everyone who has hair, a scalp that's overproducing oil from frequent washing goes through a bit of a greasy period, but it won't be forever. But it is hard. A lot of people who are trying to reduce their shampooing give up because of that greasy stage can be not great.
But Lisa, you also have bangs, so I would recommend putting a hairband on when you're washing your face and putting on products and doing your makeup, because that will prevent your bangs from getting greasy. I find that that's a lot of the problem, is that I get face cream on my bangs and stuff, and it's it makes it look dirtier sooner.
Sometimes I only use my bangs are back today, but sometimes I only use dry shampoo on my bangs because they are the area that gets if it's a sweaty day, they pick up the grease from your skin. So yeah.
Well, this is a revelation. I know. I will try. And Cynara, you missed our conversation about underwear. Did you know you're supposed to get rid of your underwear every 6 months?
Oh, underwear every 6 months. I was gonna say that kind of sounds like somebody flaunting their underwear wealth. I don't know if I could. But
I still don't understand the reason why.
Well, I think it's pretty self-evident, but
You think it's like a bacteria buildup, like it's just like crotch rot or whatever.
Yeah, it's probably a good reason.
I don't know, man. I think like I will say I am lousy with underwear. I do have a lot of underwear.
Yeah,
so
that's
I feel
a huge
like
factor.
I feel like I don't know, like every year as a cycle is okay for me.
But it's totally dependent on how many you have in rotation and how often you wear them.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, like
okay,
Lisa, are you sort of wearing it once, then wearing it inside out, then flipping it? Like, what's going on?
Do you only have
I'm getting
7 pairs of underwear?
I'm getting a sense that there's something wrong with the way I'm wearing my underwear. I'm getting this
Nothing's
idea.
wrong. I just have questions about the wear and tear.
I wash my hair too much, but I
follow-
don't wash my underwear enough.
Yeah, can you just redistribute the hair wash into the underwear?
What if I?
This
Yeah.
is like a fascinating tops and bottoms conversation that I never. Oh, this is beautiful.
Happy
This is so
Pride.
great.
Yeah. I'm just.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
No, I don't. I have more than 7 pairs of underwear, and I do. I think but I'm not like I don't have like 20 pairs.
Oh, I have like 40 pairs.
What the hell are you doing with 40? Is that okay? Whoops! Before I judge, is that normal? Does everyone else here have 40 pairs of underwear?
I probably am like 25.
25.
But I don't buy fancy underwear. It's all like 100% cotton.
Yeah, like I also am so picky about underwear, and then I find underwear I like, and they immediately discontinue it. So I hang on to my underwear for a long time. So there's a lot of like subpar underwear that I haven't gotten rid of that I honestly just don't wear because I'm like I've since got it better. I don't want to settle when it comes to underwear.
Plus, I will say, like, as someone who had basically a 6-month-long period, I just bled on everything. And so, you wash, you just keep, if there's no guarantee that you're going to stop that behavior, you might as well keep using the same terrible underwear. And then you can get rid of it down the road.
That's true. I believe in frequent changing it too. Like if I get sweaty, like I might wear more than 1 pair in a day. That's what I'm saying.
Me too.
Oh, look at you.
Me too.
Yeah, I like
Beyonce
to feel fresh.
costume change there.
I love a costume. Honestly, a little gusset change midday. I love it.
Well, like if you're prone to UTIs, like changing your underwear after exercising is like a big one. That really helps.
Right.
Like
That makes
sitting
sense,
around
but I
and-
never thought about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, like if you like getting UTIs, go for it. I don't want to.
I also think like it's just like
I don't
some
wanna,
people have some people have sweatier loins and some people don't, like if you've got, as Melissa McCarthy and Bridesmaid would say, a hot undercarriage,
Yeah.
you gotta cool it down.
There's a lot of heat coming off of these genitals. So
Oh, I know.
know?
I also think like just like being a writer, sitting in your chair all day, like it is
rubbing your lips together.
I'm constantly doing that. You know that.
Yeah.
And just
What
my
is
Kegels,
going on when
so
you
much
guys
exercise.
are sitting in chairs? Like, what are you thinking about?
I gotta keep the creative juices flowing however I can.
Wow.
You know what? And this is a really perfect way to think about the ways that, in our situation, the ways that like women's stories sometimes have to come from women themselves. And this is a weird segue into what we're going to talk about. But the whole reason that this movie that we're going to discuss actually, I think, does work, apparently, is that the lead woman, she was so charming that the test audiences did not want to eliminate her from the film the way that other test audience had done to Adam Sandler co-stars. So they got to have a woman's perspective in this film thanks to the charm of Drew Barrymore.
I'm Andrea Warner. I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
I'm Cynara.
Yay! We're
Welcome.
so excited that you're back with us.
Look who's
And
back,
particularly back on Pop This. You're listening to Pop This in case you didn't know. But you're back with us like to talk about one of your favorite rom-coms.
Yeah, it is among my top rom-coms. Just for rewatchability, which I think is important in a rom-com.
I think so too. We're talking about The Wedding Singer.
Yay!
AG, you know what? This is not a visual medium. AG shook her head. So guess which among us had never seen this movie before?
No.
Yeah, I'd never seen it. And today I was thinking about it because I just am not an Adam Sandler fan and he's never appealed to me. And I was like, he's been in a lot of films. Like, have I seen any of them? And I've only seen 2, it turns out. Well, now 3, because I've seen this one. But I've seen Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems. And now
I knew those were the 2 you had seen. I knew it.
Yeah, 2 of his most famous bits of work.
Everybody's raving about his new sports movie. Like,
Yeah,
I
I've
probably
heard
am
that
not
too.
gonna. It's not to my. I am not that interested in sports content, but
What's his new sports movie?
Hustle?
yeah,
Is
I
it
think
called
that's
Hustle?
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
It's not Hustlers, so I don't care about it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, all right. I think, I will say, like, I was positioned to enjoy Adam Sandler by virtue of watching SNL
Same.
in my formative years.
I never watched SNL.
Yeah. Like, if you watched SNL, he was part of, like, the big comedy guys of the era, right? Like, the Sandler, Chris Farley, David Spade era was, like, quite a golden era for people who were kids at the time, I think. Like, anyone who's a bit older than me, I feel like, is like, oh, I hated that era of SNL. Like, it specifically worked if you were, like, 13 when it started, you know?
That's the thing. Like, I am, like, 4 years older than you, but it's still covered. I still fit the sweet spot. Like, either you were watching it too young or I had just been watching it for too long. I'm not sure. But even my grandma, like, she used to watch SNL with us. Like, it was like me, my dad, and my sister and my grandma all watching it together. Our family were huge Chris Farley fans, of course. We're like, great, give us the wonderful fat dude. We liked David Spade. We enjoyed Adam Sandler. I would not ever have predicted that it would be Adam Sandler that would go on to have the most significant movie career. That particular era of SNL, I really enjoyed. And I enjoyed the next era too, with Will Ferrell and with
Kristen
my
Wiig
God.
and
Yeah, I should also say, like, Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, also part of that.
Yeah. Also
like,
part of that era.
Sandler
Yes, of
overlapping
course.
era. So there's, like, a lot of, big stars who continued to be names after they left SNL in that era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we should start the episode.
Yeah, we probably
we
should.
we are discussing The Wedding Singer because it's wedding month.
Should we introduce Cynara?
Oh yeah, we're going to. Like,
Okay.
I was just literally getting to it, but if you want to do it, you can.
Oh, I thought you were going to jump into the background and synopsis. So I was like, wait a minute. We didn't tell everyone who. but
Cynara
maybe
needs her
they
own
know.
background and synopsis.
Yeah, but maybe people know because she's been on our podcast so much.
1,000 times. I would be thrilled to read this bio that I literally just copied and pasted from last time and then added the additional episode that she recorded. So if anything's changed, Cynara, you have to tell us.
Okay.
Cynara Geisler is a chronically ill writer, performer, editor, and book publishing professional who invented #toddler grandma style and loves to talk about pop culture, fat liberation, feminism, and feelings. She has appeared on our podcast so many times. We love her so much, including, but not limited to, Poltergeist, Cruel Intentions, White Lotus, Lula Rich, and Kanto, and our Christmas Childhood Specials episode.
The one in which Lisa identified her favorite Christmas special and then decided that you didn't really like it after all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a tough Christmas for Lisa.
I keep you guys guessing all the time.
You know what? It's good to evolve, Lisa. Like, good for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you know what? My underwear isn't, so I might as well.
Okay, there's a really important thing I need to say off the top, which is that we learned in this movie that Steve Buscemi is a hero who beats up landlords, which is huge.
Absolutely.
That's very important to me.
I was going to add too that like Drew Barrymore in this movie is kind of has a bit of toddler grandma style going on.
Totally.
Yeah, I would love to say a little bit about her fashion later because I did just do some research on it. There's a nice interview with the film's costume designer about
Yay!
it. Yeah,
that's great.
I think she looks great in the movie. Like,
she looks
cute
fantastic.
Cute as a button.
mm-hmm.
And honestly, like kind of timeless outfits to a certain extent.
Yes, that's important.
Which is great
to her character.
Yeah, totally. Does someone want to read the background?
Sure. Okay, this is from Wiki. The Wedding Singer is a 1998 American romantic comedy film that stars Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore, and Christine Taylor, and tells the story of a wedding singer in 1985 who falls in love with a waitress. The film was released on February 13th, 1998. Produced on a budget of $18 million US, it grossed $123 million worldwide and received generally positive reviews from critics. It is often ranked as one of Sandler's best comedies. The film was later adapted into a stage musical of the same name, debuting on Broadway in April 2006 and closing on New Year's Eve of that same year.
Not the shortest run, but not the longest run.
Yes.
Elisa, do you want to read the synopsis?
Sure. Flashback to 1985 when Billy Idol was king, fashion was outrageous, and CD players were not only still a thing, but they were only for the rich. This is where we find Adam Sandler as Robbie Hart, a wedding singer who's about to tie the knot himself. But when he's left standing at the altar, he falls into a dark depression and has given up all hope of love. Then he meets effervescent Julia Sullivan, a wedding venue server who is about to get married to a douche bro stockbroker. What starts as an innocent friendship where Julia needs Robbie's help navigating the planning of her wedding slowly turns into a love in a most charming and funny way, and that's from /filmcom.com.
Thank you so much. I need to. I just want us to start with AG, just to allow
freshness,
like
the freshness.
the fresh take.
I'm gonna be like the only person who's feeling negative towards this movie. And okay, so like this is the first time I've seen it, and I'm just gonna say this. It is like, like when you're a teenager and you have a friend whose mom is like you suspect she's pretty cool. She used to be pretty cool. And she's like telling you the story of how she ended up with her depressing husband that she married in high school. This is that couple. That's what I think.
This is the origin story of a terrible future marriage.
Exactly. I think if you were to come across Robbie and Julia today, they would be an unhappy couple. And Julia would not have achieved any of her dreams.
Grim, dude. Grim.
Whoa. I don't know if this movie has that coming.
Yeah. Wow. Did we watch the same movie?
So, AG, I am going to wager a guess that the critics that really hated it at the time, who include Roger Ebert, who gave it 1 star, and who just really, really hated Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
A lot of them were critiquing it because they felt that Robbie was an extremely inconsistent character, like the wild swings. Yeah.
And I just I feel like, okay, I understand, Julia, like what her character is about and why she's, special and attracts all this attention and whatnot. But it just does not make any sense to me that, I don't think that she should go with the douche bro stockbroker either. But I just also think that Robbie Hart is not an appealing alternate to her.
This is a movie, I think, where if you cannot get behind Adam Sandler as Robbie Hart, it is a hard movie to love.
Yeah. I think the way that I relate to this movie is that I relate more to Robbie Hart than I do to Julia Sullivan. So like for me, Robbie Hart is really interesting because I think he's a feminized character. Usually when we watch rom-coms, it's the women who are lovelorn and who like are hysterical and like have the meltdowns, but we don't get that in this movie. It's like, it's Robbie. And whether or not that works for you is a fair question. Like Lindy West has a really, harsh essay on this in her book, The Witches Are Coming. Like I'm a big fan of Lindy West, but she has a whole essay where she's like, is Adam Sandler funny? Is the question she asks. And I'm going to see if I can pull up quotes, but basically she says like in The Wedding Singer, nobody is allowed to break up with a man. And that's a really big problem. Like he can't handle being broken up with. And she's also like having a song where a man is like wanting to do violence to a woman is just like no good. And I'm like, I can accept that. But at the same time, like the humor of it works for me. I think it's like very funny to the point where like somebody kill me, please put a bullet in my head is like something that I have sung like to people to express my emotional state about everything from work to love. So like there's something very cathartic for me in the way he plays that character. And like if you're not paying super close attention to the movie, I think you would feel that the development is unearned. But like we know that he has childhood trauma. We know his parents died when he was little and that he idolizes their marriage and that all he's really cared about since he was in grade 3 is getting married. And I just like love that that's in the movie because it's so unusual to, especially in that era, to have a movie that's like men can be hopeless romantics and like also be messed up by love. Like I really like that part of it.
I think it's just another example of toxic masculinity in 80s movies.
Like it absolutely is. So this is the sort of question for me is like, does Robbie Hart behave toxically? Sure. But does the movie think that toxic behavior is okay? I don't always know. I don't know if the movie is on side with it. Like we're not supposed to think the way he's acting is normal. Like
like everyone around him is like, you're not okay.
But I mean, I think it is by the fact that like he's the protagonist of this movie.
Yes and no, because he doesn't have like first of all, the chaotic bisexual in me loves that he ruins at least one wedding. I love a movie where a heterosexual wedding gets ruined. That's really important to me. It's like
that's actually AG's new vibe too after Wedding Month. Like also against all heterosexual weddings.
Well, and I really like Bridesmaids for that reason, right? Like I love that it takes a literal dump on wedding culture because there's a lot to object to. So in this movie, like having him sort of like he's just been dumped and he's a wedding singer and his whole thing is he's structured his life to be around weddings all the time because he wants to be married. And then he's angry and he's taking it out on this room of people. And like, that's not great. But there is just that performance of love stinks. And then just like involving other people, like bringing in that, like the table of unlovable people, like the table nine.
I was at a wedding 5 years ago, and I still have the number 9 because that was what the table.
Oh gosh, you know what? I am always at table number 9. It doesn't matter who if I have a date or not. I am at that table.
I literally sat at table 9 all night, and I had to bring the number home.
And like I find that number funny. It's definitely mean, but like what I like about the movie is that I do feel like there's a consequence there. Like he's not going to do weddings anymore. Like should he be totally fired? Obviously, yes. But then later at the bar mitzvah, because he has to do the bar mitzvahs now, he's like in his awkward toxic masculine way. I'm not saying this is like he's a model of tender masculinity here. He like does that nice thing for that little boy who's like, they like little fat kid who's like, I'm a loser.
Then also puts a little girl's hands on his ass.
Yeah, like it's not like the thing is, it's still like through the puerile lens of Adam Sandler, but I find it more tolerable because like I was a horny teen when I first watched it. So there's something about the like energy of him in that character that like really
full of,
works for me.
honestly, just the inspiration of a room full of people just grabbing butts while slow dancing in the most awkward way possible. I do think that's like a fun time, but like only as like a comedic moment. Like I'm not like looking at it and feeling for like, I don't know, certain things in this movie get a real sort of pass for me. They exist in the duality. And I think part of it are things Cynara's talking about. I want to get your take, because I know you also love this movie. And what do you love about it?
Well, until it was brutally ripped apart here.
I don't think it's been ripped apart.
No, not terribly. I think it's the sweetness of it, and there's something corny about the love story, and I think it's just funny. I think there's just like that first wedding is just funny.
The extras.
Steve Buscemi is just funny.
That opening scene is so good, right? Like the extras are giving the most in that opening wedding scene, and I love it. Like I think it literally feels like like one of my family's weddings, and that's also part of it.
I think I'm sort of understanding what it is, because like all of you are fans of SNL and have watched SNL for a long time.
Yeah.
And are fans of skits.
Yes.
And find skits funny. And I just
the way you say skits, it sounds like
I
you
know.
got something awful in your mouth.
Spitting the word out.
I don't
like sketch comedy?
No, I find this
comedy.
movie like it's so, a comedy sketch that they're doing, like a bit or whatever, like for the whole movie, and I didn't laugh at all. I didn't find any of it funny.
None of it made you laugh.
You didn't.
No,
you didn't laugh once.
It just seemed very dated. The humor seemed very dated, and
well,
not
it was made in
up,
1998,
and not
to
holding
be
up very
1985.
Well. Oh my gosh!
And very like juvenile, and I don't know. I didn't find it. I didn't. That's why I think like if you saw it when you're a teenager, I can see how and thought it was like hilarious, and you're kind of a big fan of comedy. Like I can see how that sort of imprints on you, and now is nostalgia is driving you to like it as a film.
Okay,
but like it's not funny to an adult human being watching it for the first time now.
But I don't. Oh, so here's the thing though. I think it could be funny to an adult human being watching it for the first time if they enjoyed sketch comedy, skits, bits, and some prop humor and some pratfall kind of physical comedy. Yeah. I don't feel like. So for example, AG, I don't think that you enjoy watching something like Wipeout.
No, not really.
So I'm absolutely enough of a young idiot in aspects of my comedic appreciation that I can absolutely watch Wipeout and have a very good time.
I just watched the new Jackass. I mean,
I am a fan of
all the way through and excitedly.
I like classic and 90s slapstick. And I do think it's worth noting that part of the reason Ebert hated the movie, and then Ebert's my boy. I love him, and I'm sad that he doesn't like this movie. And part of me believes this might have been one of those ones he would revisit and not hate it as much, which he sometimes did. There's a part of me that believes maybe he would have changed his mind. But
I don't know. I think he thinks he's too sophisticated for
But
Adam
the thing
Sandler.
is, Drew Barrymore was I want to do a rom-com that has a vintage rom-com plot, and this absolutely does. It's not trying to really do anything new, but to me it is doing something new by making Adam Sandler sort of the hysterical character. I really like that. It really works for me, but I could also see why people would watch it and be he's just thinks he's a nice guy, but he's not. Whatever. I can entertain that perspective, but also do you not, Andrea Gin, find someone crying while singing Madonna's Holiday objectively funny? Because I do. That, to me, perfect joke. Crying while singing Holiday is so funny. I can barely handle it. Just as an idea. This movie is full of things like that I just find so funny. The little bit that drifts in from the radio where it's I like old Coke better than new Coke because it's old and so am I. There's lots of things.
Or my favorite line is when he says, take off that Van Halen t-shirt. You'll make them break up.
Yeah, a string instrument of Don't Stop Believing, like a string arrangement, very funny to me. Like, I like these touches.
See, none of these things you're mentioning is funny to me.
Really?
What about when the older woman pays him in meatballs and just puts them in his hands because she doesn't have any clean
Why
Tupperware?
is that funny?
And he has to take a bite.
Because they're
It's
giant
not
wet
funny.
meatballs with sauce, and he has to bite one of them, and then she touches them, and then she
I saw
still
the
expects
movie.
to bite
I
it.
saw what happened.
It seemed like you needed a recap if you had a question about why it was funny.
I think really, though, essentially, the reason I do like it, and I'm not always the biggest Adam Sandler fan, but it just seemed to me that Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore were so cute and sweet, and the movie had such a good heart. And that's the thing about all the Adams.
Does it though?
I think it genuinely has good intentions.
Yeah.
The interviews are really interesting, right? Like I've spent time sort of looking at the junket footage of this movie too, because I was just so curious how it was marketed at the time, because I couldn't remember. And like Drew Barrymore talks about it like, I really want this movie to make people like love. And both Adam Sandler and the screenwriter are like, we wanted to make a movie that was like romantic and believed in love. So I actually think the intention is there, whether we think it's acting in good faith, even if it gets stuff wrong. And I guess that like goes a long way.
The
with
movie
me.
is so mean to George is it
mean to George though? Because like I'm obsessed with the moment where George tries on the wedding dress and is like so happy. And also George plays grand piano, trombone, and clarinet. It's just weird that George isn't the lead. Like that's kind of a joke.
Yeah,
in the movie.
exactly. Yeah.
See, I think like I actually also think that the movie, like the reactions to George are transphobic and homophobic and awful. And I feel like the movie itself, though, like all the people who are the lead characters love George and accept George for exactly who George is. You know what I mean? And it's like these other people who are kind of
Yeah.
and like the other people who are like the audience, like the people in like these sort of audience positions who are kind of awful. And like George continues to get to, I don't know, like
I don't know. I just felt like he was made to be the like a joke, just another joke in the movie.
I think
I thought it was to show how really mean the wedding people are.
Yeah, like George is respected by the band and like by the characters and included, and also in my headcanon, Billy Idol comes to the wedding and like meets George, and then George has a career. Like that's the spin-off I see.
I've got an agent
for this film. Yeah, exactly. But like I
also,
think,
why is Billy Idol in this movie at all?
He's in this movie literally because his son loves Adam Sandler. And
yeah,
he was like, I will have to watch this movie with my son, and they asked me to be in it. And sure.
And honestly, if you're going to have a movie called The Wedding Singer set in 1985, of course you have to have the guy who sang White Wedding.
White Wedding.
Like, that's just like, that's just
Start
fact.
Again.
But
and honestly, I very much enjoy the idea. I love like sort of like a weird caper ending. Like when all of first class, who are, you know, usually sort of typical jerks, they all band together. They all believe in Robbie Hart's love for Julia. They hate Gulia. And they all like sort of come together to sort of like facilitate this moment. And damned if I don't just get a little bit like teary happy when he sings the song that he wants to grow old with her. I love that song to this day.
It's her reaction is like played perfectly, but I also think it's the contrast of when we see Glenn surprise her earlier in the movie. She's like listening to her Walkman and he sneaks up on her with flowers and then goes, "Don't be so jumpy." Like he just sucks
He's gross.
so much. But then this reveal, it's like it comes over the speaker and she has a moment to like realize what's happening and she's excited by this surprise. And it's like, it doesn't seem like a terribly sophisticated movie on the surface, but like it's a movie that really has a tight screenplay in that it shows you what like that while they are planning Julia's wedding And Adam Sandler's character, Robbie, is really listening to her and the things
Everything
that
she
matter
wants and what
to
she
her.
believes in.
So he writes, like, she tells him, oh, I think you find the one by, like, meeting a person you can imagine yourself growing old with. And then he writes a song for her about, like, what she's expressed love looks like for her. So it's, like, quite sweet in that way.
I was just like, in my head, I was like, don't fall for this. Do not.
I mean,
don't
like,
fall for this.
Did you not
just-
feel?
I
Did you
was
not
like,
feel the
just-
movie heading in that direction?
Just go home, go to college, just continue with your life and pretend this never happened.
Like, why bother getting married, Julia? Don't you know there's more out there? Is that, like, that's the movie for you, AG?
I feel like she's making up her mind too quickly. Like,
yeah. I mean, her mom is definitely pushing her into marriage. Like, there's other sort of, I think this movie also has a strength of, like, a very notable ensemble who might be introduced as jokes, but to me transcend jokes. Like Ellen Dow, for example, as the rapping granny, is so delightful. And the plan was not even to have her rap. Like, they just thought, they literally approached her and were like, we think it might be funny if you tried to rap. What do you think? And she was like, I don't know what that is. And then they took her to a recording studio, but because she was, like, a longtime piano player and singer, she was like, oh, if I dance, can I dance to this? And they were like, sure. And then as soon as she danced to it, she was like, I'm great at rapping. I immediately learned how to rap. Turns out I know how to rap. And so it, like, led to her getting to do commercials and, like, kind of a career bump for her in her 80s, which I just love, right? And
she was basically in every Adam Sandler show after that, right? Like, until she died.
It like kind of like reinvigorated her career for her a little bit. And like she even for a time thought about doing a children's rap record, which really made me laugh. She didn't, but she gave interviews where she was like, all this youth come up to me and they recognize me from The Wedding Singer and they like genuinely like it and want to meet me. And that's so cute. And like similarly, Billy Idol was like, I really benefited from being in this movie because I picked up young fans who like still come to my gigs because they like The Wedding Singer. So it's like, it has, I think it's put good into the world, like whether or not it intended to, you know, like even Steve Buscemi, who's kind of like a butt of a joke character. Like, I think his character, we all like that cameo. Like, it's kind of a legendary cameo.
He's so funny in it. And he, like, his character is so angry. Like, that's some toxic masculinity up front. But then we see, like, very quickly that he's just, like, deeply lonely and hurt and insecure. And obviously his relationship with his father is terrible. And I just, like, the idea that a part that is that small and seemingly insignificant as to be uncredited and yet is so memorable.
You know what's
like,
funny is
very memorable.
He's not credited as the best man, but I wanted to double check because I was pretty sure Adam Sandler performed the songs that he performs on, which he did. But I wanted to see like how they credited the music, and Steve Buscemi is credited as performing at the end of the movie.
Good.
So he gets a vocal credit for True, which I think is really funny. I like his arrangement of that song.
Yeah, I think it's
really
good.
nice.
I think it's good. One of the things that I did not know, but I should not be surprised at, is that they brought in Carrie Fisher as a script doctor to beef up the lines for Julia Sullivan.
That makes sense.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, she apparently was, I mean, I knew she was an uncredited script doctor, like, for lots of films over the years. But yeah, specifically to tweak the dialogue of Drew Barrymore's character. And I think it pays off a little bit because Julia Sullivan is never sort of like in other films, Julia Sullivan could very easily be sort of manic pixie dream girl kind of stuff. Like, I know that this movie was made kind of before that phrase was coined, I believe, but she really gets to have her own stamp on things, like from the church tongue quote.
Yeah.
That's got to be a Carrie Fisher line, honestly, church tongue.
I love the scenes between her and Holly. Like, I actually think their friendship is quite nice. Like,
I love Christine Taylor so much, and she's great in this. And she does not get enough credit, frankly. Like, I think she's an excellent actor. I am...
Wait a second, that wasn't Madonna?
She sees that those two ding-dongs should get together, right? But she doesn't get in the way. She just asks pointed... She does that thing of sort of being the trickster character who asks, like, pointed questions of each. Like, oh, well, you know, I told him you were marrying Glenn for this reason. Well, that's not why I'm marrying Glenn. Why are you? Like,
but why was she like? Why was in Julia's mind? Why do you think she was marrying Glenn?
I don't
she
think
said he was going to be an attractive older man, and I honestly feel that might have been the only reason.
Yeah, I don't.
They got engaged.
She's so insulted. Exactly. She's so insulted when she's when Robbie suggests she's marrying him for money, but then you're like, why does she think she is marrying him?
But that's the thing, like, people, I don't know. I've had conversations with friends where I've had to say to them, well, why are you doing this? And they get so defensive because they know that the actual only reason is, like, nothing good. It's just like, it seems the right thing to do.
That's what gets at the heart of what bugs me about this, the premise of this movie as well, is that it's all about peer pressuring everyone you know to get married. And, like, she is being, like, she may come to this decision that marrying the horrible man is not for her. But, like, then she's immediately pressured by another man to get married.
But I get the feeling
afterwards.
That Julia wants to be married. Like, she does not.
But, why? She doesn't know why she was engaged to that other guy in the first place.
She doesn't know why she was engaged to that other guy. I agree. But, like, I also think, like, this movie... The rules of this movie are that everyone secretly wants to be married. Like, and that's just the universe of this movie. And, like,
I hate that.
It's a small town.
You kind of have to accept the, like, schmigadoon principle of it. Like, I think that's a sort of opt-in for the movie. I really think there are some just, like, good one-liners, though. Like, when Ellen Dow's character is like, will this be your first time with intercourse? Like, incredible. Such a good delivery. I love the thing about her 8 premarital lovers, which would be like 200 today. Like, just, she's so good. She's so, like, funny in it. Like, I like that the movie gets to be a little horny. I also appreciate, though, that, like, there's no sex scenes. And that, to me, is what made it a perfect teen film. There's kissing, right? Like, it's not a teen movie, but as a teen, I kind of thought of it as one.
Can I also just, like, I would just like to raise, so one thing that, I know Ebert's your boy, but I was really mad at his review. And I understand this is just the way that people talked about villainous women at a certain time and period. Mm-hmm. But he describes Robbie's ex, Linda, as a slut. And there is no
indication of that.
There's no indication that is Linda's journey at all.
He absolutely gets stuff wrong. Like, I don't support that. And I think if anyone is, like, a proud slut in this movie, it's Holly.
Holly is absolutely happy to be having sex with all kinds of people. And that's great for her.
I love that option is represented and not, like...
Yes.
Like, they mock her, but she's like, who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
she's very...
I don't care what you have to say. Like,
yeah.
She wants no part of that. And I am thrilled for that. Whereas, like, this Bruno, or whatever his name is, like, he is, talking all the time about, like, giving it to women whether they want it or not. And then he gets to have this sort of, like, honestly, kind of a great monologue about how desperately lonely and sad he is.
I love that monologue.
I do appreciate that specific in that movie and in that character. And I think it's because he doesn't keep up the bravado all the time. Mm-hmm. Like, when they're all dancing with their hands on each other's butts, like, it's him and the chef in the kitchen having a nice little tool around and there's no judgment. It's just like, I know it's meant as, like, sort of funny or whatever, but, like, it also normalizes that in a way that, not a lot of other movies necessarily were doing in 1998.
It includes it, right? It includes vulnerability. Like, these guys are not in 1998 being like, yeah, toxic masculinity really does suck. And why can't men just feel normal about expressing their feelings? Like, they're not there yet. But there are sort of these, like, little seeds of it that I appreciate. Like, I like that monologue where he's like, I try to be like Fonzie and Vinnie Barbarito, but you know what happened to them? Their shows got canceled. And I'm like, boom, the wedding singer predicted me too. Just kidding. But like, it's there. Like, it's, I think though what it is that the movie sort of presents some of these ideas not fully developed. So they kind of are there. And like, to me, it's nice because I get this little like critical appetizer that I can apply film theory to. Like, I can beef it up into a meal with my own experiences. But
you're really nutrients adding after the fact. AG's like, this was the worst frozen dinner I've ever eaten in my life.
Oh my gosh, I enjoy the writing in this movie so much that not only did I watch it once, I watched it twice before we talked about it because I wanted to pay attention to the story structure. And I was like, as a screenplay, this is pretty good. It like has themes that it sets up. It doesn't, we instead of a meet cute, we have a meet puke, which I find iconic. I love it. I love that it's a meet puke. I love that significant conversations and moments happen while somebody is puking. Like, I don't know, man. I guess because I come from a family with a lot of digestive issues, like it really hits the notes for me. Like, I like the wedding, the sort of like hall where you have a wedding with a wedding singer is very like the suburb I grew up in a little bit. Like, I'm a little
I was gonna ask that. Has any of us been to a wedding with a wedding singer? I haven't.
No.
Oh my God. Can I tell you an iconic story about my mom and a wedding hall? I love this story, but first I'll ask, have any of you been serenaded? And is that something that you would like? Like, is that a romantic?
I have, and I hated it.
You hated it.
It was a gross dude in my apartment who took off all his clothes and put on a towel in my bathroom and then sat on my lap to sing me Happy Birthday Marilyn Monroe style. And all I felt was testicles on my knees. I did not like it.
Oh no. That's a real failed. That's a failed serenade. Wow.
That was a failed serenade.
So when my mom got married, and an important thing to know about my mom is that, like Julia Gulia, I don't know that my mom had great reasons for getting married. One bad guy, for real, there's a lot of parallels. The Wedding Singer is actually low-key biography of my mom.
I was just going to say, this is your connection
to
it.
Terrible guy asked her to get married. She said yes. Then she met another guy who also asked her to get married, my dad, and she also said yes because she was like, he's a bit better than the other guy. So anyway, she was like engaged to two men at the same time. Very funny. Her
Amazing
line about that is that she just was willing to entertain all proposals. So when she got married, another ex reached out to her and was like, hey, I really want to come to your wedding. And she was like, I don't think that's a good idea. And he was like, no, I got a new girlfriend. Like, it's the big event of the town. We've known each other so long. Like, can I come? So he comes to the wedding and there's like an open mic portion while my mom is like getting changed into her, like, we're going to go on our honeymoon clothes. And he gets on stage and he did bring his new girlfriend and they had been broken up for years, like 6 years or something. And he performed an original love song that he wrote about how awesome my mom was. And it was truly a scandal. It was very shocking. At first, everybody was like, maybe this is a thing between them. But it became clear that, like, no, he really thought he was going to graduate this situation. Like, he thought they were going to run away together. And then my mom's cousin Irving just, like, threw him out.
Wow. That's a great tale.
Amazing.
She's like, he wrote just like a 52-verse song about how awesome I am. And I got her permission to tell the story because she finds it very embarrassing, but I'm like, no, it's embarrassing for him. It's not embarrassing for me. Like,
incredible.
I think it's amazing. Like, it's very unhinged, but
your mom had it going on. Like, I mean, obviously terrible taste in men, unfortunately, but those men really really were
she
into
was
her.
the one that got away, I guess. Like,
For a lot of people. Like, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
I was like, personally, if one of my exes showed up and just wanted to talk about how awesome I was at my wedding, I'd love that. I have no problem with that at all.
I'll join you.
Most of them did not tell me how awesome I was when we were together, and that was the problem. So if they want to show up and make amends by just like reading 52 Reasons I'm Great, perfect for me. I love it.
Amazing.
That's restorative justice, in my opinion. Yeah.
So we have to wrap this up. And Cynara, like, why don't you tell us, do you think this movie pops? Because I'm not sure if what you're going to say.
Oh, I think in the context of its time, it does. And I also think, like, as a nostalgia watch for me, it does. I also just needed to say that I feel like Andrea Warner could be a stunt limo driver, similar, like I feel that you could do that obstacle course without hitting any cones.
I was thinking that I could as well, and I also do enjoy that. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I am also going to say that I do think it pops. I think it ages not bad compared to a lot of other things, and I still really enjoyed it. And Carlos watched it for the first time with me for this, and he really enjoyed it. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I still think it pops. And I laughed a lot.
Popping for me. I'm popping. It's just popping.
And this is not surprising, but I'm going to say this is definitely, like, this is like unprecedented fourth movie in a row that we've watched during wedding month that I think does not pop. And
this is
I think
the
this
only
movie,
one that got my pop.
the joke in this movie is just like 80s are funny. Haha.
Yeah.
I think
where's the lie, AG?
I think
Where's
Julia's
the lie?
like, what kind of sociopath asks someone who got left at the altar to help them immediately plan their own wedding? And
finally, you're coming for Julia. Good.
Yeah.
I thought she was gonna escape unscathed. I mean, I appreciate this perspective, AG. It's good. You've kept us
healthy
real.
Us to have a balance.
It's good to have a balance. And honestly, all the people who hate this movie are going to really feel seen by you.
Yeah.
And your experience.
I did prepare a quiz for you all.
I don't think we have time for a quiz.
It's really short.
We're running out.
It's just to find your soulmate within the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have
real
to
short. Everyone good?
There's two questions.
Okay.
So you log your answers and then tell me after. The perfect man, A, wears a leather vest. B, a silk shirt unbuttoned, licking the microphone like David Lee Roth. C, a red leather jacket and sequin glove. D, can do a passable moonwalk. And your second question is, A, thinks it's a nice day for a white wedding. B, serenades you on a plane. C, can stunt drive a limo. D, likes country music.
Ooh, that's tough. I'm passable moonwalk and stunt drive a limo.
Okay, so that means you're gonna get married to the old man in the bar and the limo driver. It's not a very sophisticated quiz.
My perfect threesome.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How about you, Lisa?
I'm going with the shirt down.
The unbuttoned
the silk shirt like David Lee Roth.
Really?
Yeah. I'm just gonna go straight Billy Idol.
Okay. So yeah, the silk shirt unbuttoned is Robbie Hart before he was a wedding singer. So that was a real tricky one. But then of course, so yeah, you can choose between Billy Idol or Robbie Hart. Who you marry?
Oh, we'll see. There we go.
Those are your results.
I'm gonna take Robbie. His career, I think, pans out longer.
AG, what were your choices?
I would go with moonwalk and driving the limo.
You end up just like me.
Yeah, you end up with the same combo.
Oh my god, do you think we're a foursome?
Have fun with that.
Great.
I am a disaster to be mated with, AG. I just want to...
Listen, I didn't even include Glenn in here because I didn't want to be Mean.
Good.
But I am obsessed with how I think the meanest gay moment of gays in the movie is Glenn passed out on his zebra underwear on his zebra bed. That's the most
incredible.
Sort of nudity, voyeuristic nudity we get, and I also just like that as a choice in a movie with little to no nudity.
It's good. He is shamed for his just his existence.
That actor's so good at playing jerks. He plays Pamela Adlin's terrible ex in Better Things, and I hate him so much in that show as well.
Well, we also love to leave our episodes on things we recommend. So, Cynara, as our special guest, would you like to go first?
Sure. I would like to recommend Ziwe. If you haven't watched Ziwe yet, I think it is a perfect show. It is an interview show where Ziwe sort of plays the character of, I think, what white Democrats fear being woke is. So she sort of does gotcha-style interviews with different people. She's interviewed Fran Lebowitz. One of the questions she asks Fran Lebowitz in season 1 is, what do you find more annoying, racism or people who walk too slow? All of the interviews are like this, and I just think she's doing such cool things in comedy. And this both seasons are now on Crave. They're short seasons, but I just really appreciate this sort of comedic, satirical character she's doing as a young Black woman. I think it's awesome.
Fantastic. Ziwe is great. Lisa, what about you?
Yeah, just no big surprise, but I'm right in there with Stranger Things season 4. I loved the first 3 seasons. I'm really loving season 4. In fact, I think I'm way more. It's much better, I should say. Look at this. What am I? Way more better. It was much better than season 3. So I highly recommend season 4 Stranger Things.
Awesome. AG, what about you?
So I'm going to do a callback to watching JLo's Marry Me. And I'm going to recommend her new documentary on Netflix, Halftime.
Ooh.
Because it's a good companion viewing to, because if she in this documentary had inserted 5 minutes of her day with an awkward interaction with Owen Wilson, it would basically be Marry Me, the movie. But it's fascinating to think of her because she's so hugely successful and one of the biggest stars in the world and has had this incredible career, and she's 50 years old and, thriving. But at the same time, you see through this documentary that she still is just driven because she needs that approval. And she just works so hard at it all the time, and it's nonstop. And it's just kind of it's very fascinating to see.
Yeah, that sounds great. I can't wait to watch it. I am going to recommend Ms. Marvel, the new show that's part of the Marvel universe. I don't really go for all the TV series usually, but I love this show so much. It's so good. It is about a 16-year-old fangirl of the Avengers named Kamala Khan who acquires powers. Anyways, and I won't spoil anything else, but I've seen the first 2 episodes now. It's so freaking good. It's so interesting. It's so cool. It's honestly, it looks like and sounds like nothing like anything else that has been made in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was I guess created by Bisha K. Ali, and it just, the 16-year-old girl is played by Iman Vellani, and she's magical to watch. She's wonderful. I just love her so much. It's just so pure, and I am really excited about it.
Where can you watch it?
Disney Plus. It's so good. Cynara, do you want people to come find you online?
Sure, they can find me online. I feel like I'm mostly on TikTok, which is I think I said that last time and it was what? But yeah, that's still where I mostly am. I'm professional guest star on TikTok. So if you want to see my outfits, that's where those live. And then, I'm on Twitter. No one sees my tweets because that's how Twitter works. But if you want to find my tweets and just look at them, like a few. That's great. I'm at Cynara G.
Perfect. Thank you so much. If you want to hang out with us, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. I will admit we're not, necessarily the most active on any of those platforms, but you can still hang out with us there. And if you'd like, you could rate and review us 5 stars. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Cynara. As always, it's a delight.
Thank you. It was great having
Andrea
you.
Gin, for being our producer and our co-host and suffering through wedding movies.
Yeah, I'm usually here as an alternate, so like I liked that I got to be with all 3 of you today.
Aww.
Thank you.
It was very fun. Thank you.
Well, it was fun for 3 of us, maybe not for one of us.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.